Well, back at it again today. 15 game scheduled. All teams back at it today. And the early game, Red Sox and Cubs, by the way, you can see that on MLB Network TV. And that's at 2:00. Each time the Yankees-Braves game at 7, and then Brewers-Dodgers joined in progress at 11. And remember, every single pitch of the baseball season can be heard here on SiriusXM Radio. You go to the SiriusXM app, search for your team, your favorite team. You get the hometown call. So every pitch, home and away calls are on there. And worth. And I wonder how many times people actually listen to the visiting broadcasters when they're listening to their team. I think it'd be interesting to do that. And to get some perspective, because when teams come into town, or when you're a visiting team, you go talk to the other broadcasters, you go talk to the manager and the players, and you might get some more up-to-date information sometimes than you would otherwise. But at any time I could listen to Tom Hamilton in Cleveland on the call, I'm going to listen to him. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Oh, man, he is so good. I love Tom Hamilton and his calls. But it also reminds me of how, I'll speak for myself. Growing up in Detroit, Ernie Harwell back then was the voice of the Tigers. And he taught me baseball. I mean, I'd have my transistor radio under the pillow at night listening to the Tigers and his broadcast. And, he always had this thing where, he took it like a house by the side of the road, not doing anything, just taking a pitch. Or if somebody hit one down the left field line foul, he'd say, "Oh, a young man from St. Clair Shores, Michigan got that one." I think, how does he know that kid's from St. Clair Shores, Michigan? But he didn't, obviously. He just wanted to include different cities around that would support the Tigers and make it feel like a community. Like, it was just such a cool thing. And then coming to New York and working with the Mets and Bob Murphy, Hall of Famer, and how great he was with Gary Cohn, who Gary Cohn now has moved over to TV. But the play-by-play voices and Vin Scully for Dodgers fans, we learned and loved the game so much because of that connection to the broadcast teams.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as someone who looks up to a lot of these people doing play-by-play and broadcasting baseball games, like you listen with a little bit of a different ear. I think that radio, like I would urge people to listen even more. Like, it's nothing against our TV people, because our TV people are exceptional, but the guys who are on radio right now, I think they have seen a lot of baseball. And I'm not saying that they're near the end of what they're doing, but I just feel like the encyclopedias that we have, because radio also allows you to talk a lot more, right? You're imagining a lot more things, and it's just pretty special right now, the guys and girls that we have calling baseball games. And I feel like our sport's in a really good spot with that. I feel very lucky when you turn on a game and you're going to be enlightened, you're going to learn something, you're going to laugh, you might cry. I think one of my favorite booths of a team that I don't watch a lot right now is the Phillies, and listening to John Kruk tell stories and Tom McCarthy cackle at what Kruk is doing. So I don't know. I think it's really special. We've got some incredible voices, iconic voices in the game that I feel really grateful for.
Having worked with Crucky, I've sat in those rooms and just laughed and laughed and laughed until we cried.
Yeah.
So I want to get your thoughts. Yeah. Right? He does. He makes it crack up all the time. So let me ask you this. The awards right now, American League MVP, it's kind of either Cal Raleigh or Aaron Judge. Now, I personally give Aaron Judge the edge. I understand what Cal Raleigh's doing, but I think you've got a potential triple crown season for Aaron Judge. And he's, 3 home runs behind, right there with the RBIs. His OPS is higher. His WAR is higher. I have to give it to Aaron Judge. How do you see the MVP so far in the American League?
I have to give it to Cal Raleigh. Not only is his offense on par with Aaron Judge, leading the league in home runs, dominating the Derby, having himself a moment, what he does behind the plate. He's top 10 right now in defensive WAR on Fangraphs. I think that his overall body of work, to me, I love watching Aaron Judge play baseball. I hope we do it for a really, really long time. But to have somebody else who is on pace with him right now, like last year with Bobby Witt Jr. for a long time, I feel like what Cal Raleigh is doing is deserving of an MVP award if he can keep this pace up. Now, you have questions about whether he can do that or not. I feel confident that he can. Like, he's given me zero reason to think he's not going to be able to keep this up for the rest of the season. I get it. He's a catcher, so you think his legs are tired. You think he's running out of steam. But I just feel like this is Cal Raleigh's year. And for me, AL MVP right now goes to him.
Yeah. All right. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's really down to those two guys. I have head and shoulders ahead Aaron Judge because he's 6'7", of course.
What?
Well, he's head and shoulders better. I mean, he's WAR almost doubles that of. Yeah. Well, I mean, within there was a dad joke. Yes, there was. All right. The National League. Now, the National League, isn't it just Shohei Ohtani and everybody else?
No. Wow. Let's throw some respect on Pete Crow-Armstrong.
Oh,
PCA. Yeah. Let's go. PCA. I am wowed by what he's been able to do this season. I saw him, Steve, at the All-Star game. That's another guy that I've covered since he was in high school. And I got to give him a hug and tell him how proud I am of him, because when you go from a guy that's traded from the Mets to the Cubs, and Javi Baez is the guy that you're traded for when Baez was at the peak of his game. Now he's resurged, right? Of course, with the Tigers, but there's a lot of pressure on you. The Mets didn't know exactly what they had in Pete, and he struggled his first big league season, and that kid put his head down and went to work. And the best part about Pete is that he's never wavered in who he is. We've always known that the glove is there. He's always been a defense first guy. And now you see the bat coming into play. It feels like he has eliminated every hole in his strike zone, and he has found a way to barrel it up and come up clutch for the Cubs. And along with Kyle Tucker, like, to me, he has been the most impactful guy in the lineup, and he is a front runner for the MVP, and he's doing it his way, and he's always done it his way. And I'm just so proud of him and the guy that he is and the man that he is, but the ball player he is. So yes, PCA, Shohei Ohtani. You probably need to think about James Wood as well with the Washington Nationals, but I think it's a two-horse race right now with Pete and Shohei.
So it's interesting because if Pete Crow-Armstrong is the MVP, it will be the lowest on base percentage of any MVP ever. The lowest is 319. There have only been 10 most valuable players with on base percentages less than 350 ever. He's at 302. Now, the only other challenge with him is that he has a really high chase rate. And I wonder if in the second half of the season, like, you have to try to walk him. I think he's walked 25 times this year. You've got to really try to walk him. And so I wonder if they keep throwing it off the plate to try to get him to chase in the second half of the season. And so how about Ohtani pitching in the second half? Will that change your view that Ohtani's value now will be that much more substantial because he's going to be the two-way player again?
Here's where my brain goes. I kind of feel like this hinges upon the situations he's pitching in, what leverage situations, and if they decide that he's ready to pitch deeper into games, right? Like, respectfully, yes, he is still the best in our game because he's a two-way guy. But if he's only going to pitch 2 innings, I don't know if I can consider that at the MVP level that he's been. He's already set the standard so high for himself. I think it really depends on how long he's pitching and where he's pitching in these games. I will be really curious to see what the Dodgers decide to do because he's almost rehabbing at the big league level right now. But we did get to see him, talk to him at the All-Star game. And I think that he is so happy to be back out on the mound, and he probably wants a little more free reign. He's always going to be in consideration because he's doing something that our game has never seen, and he entertains us every single day. But here's the thing. It's the same with Cal Raleigh. Like, yes, Aaron Judge is a front runner and it would be an easy pick. You'd never go wrong picking Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. But I think that it's time we expand our minds a little bit and we look at the game a little bit differently, even if Pete's on-base percentage might be the lowest. And even if Cal Raleigh doesn't have the home runs that Aaron Judge has, I think we need to really consider some other ways that an MVP can look for our game. I think we've got to go outside the box a little bit and color outside the lines a little bit here because what these guys are doing Cal may never do this again, but it qualifies for an MVP. And I want to see some other faces be considered and thought of. And I don't care if he's in Seattle. I don't care if he's across the country. Like, Cal Raleigh's name needs to be spoken about every single day because of what he's doing with the bat and behind the plate with this pitching staff. And it goes the same for Pete. What Pete does with his glove day in and day out, what he does for that clubhouse, what he does for that team, and the fact that he's grown his game in this way has to be considered.
I think the more you call Cal Raleigh the big dumper, the more you get people's attention. I think just saying Cal Raleigh, they're like, oh, yeah, Cal Raleigh, I don't really know him very well. But you mentioned big dumper, like, oh, yeah, that's an interesting nickname. I honestly do. I think
I'll let you do that.
I think you got to start branding it. Your campaign for Cal Raleigh has to go nickname based. I just think that it's going to get a lot more attention that way. And I think we could both agree
that people like listening to you call him that. I think it's much more enjoyable coming from the man who's older than Post-it notes than from me. And so I think that if you keep that up, I think that it could catch on a little bit.
Speaking of which,
they had the Georgia peach, the little Georgia peach symbol.
Yeah, my age has been called into question today, and it's true that I am older than Post-it notes. And, oh, by the way, we actually got a text from Ryan in Omaha who said, things older than Steve Phillips, the light bulb, a Cleveland World Series trophy, and his dear mother. Yes, Phyllis is older than I am. Thank goodness for that. All right, we're going to come back. We'll break down the NL Central. What do we see moving forward here in the leadoff spot on MLB Network Radio and live on MLB Network TV?